Ladies and gentlemen, please silence your cell phones and prepare yourself for liftoff. You ever notice that, like, putting your phone on airplane mode has nothing to do with the airplane? You know what I mean? Like, let's just see if we can get everybody to shut their cell phones off. Let's see if we can get everybody to...
Have you seen the Simpsons episode, though, where somebody turned it off and the plane was like, "Bah!" They're like, airplane mode, and it's like, it autocorrects.
No.
Yeah, Simpsons is a great show. I'm a big fan.
When The Simpsons came out, it was a huge deal, remember?
Yeah.
When it very first launched, and the premiere, my entire family, me, my mom, my dad, and my brother sat down to watch it because my parents were going to not let us watch it by ourselves.
Oh.
And that was the one where he said, "I'm Bart Simpson, who the hell are you?" And it was like, everybody was in arms. My parents were like, "You're forbidden from watching this show.
I was not allowed to watch it.
You could not watch this show." So I've never been a Simpsons guy. Never.
I think that's why I am. I went into full rebel mode, and I was like, I'm going to watch all the Beavis and Butthead and all the Simpsons when I got
that's your problem.
my own TV. I know.
I've always wondered, like, what is it that's behind the madness and the insanity and
the loveliness of your woman.
Wondering how did your screws get loose? You know what I mean? Like, you always wonder how, when you look at somebody, you're like, who loosened your screws?
I think
how did
God
your
thought it would be way more
loose?
fun if they were just, I was shipped off loose. I just think I was born that way.
Bart Simpson had something to do with it. Guys, welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by The Simpsons. Just kidding.
I wish.
So, guys, today's episode is Q&A. We have some amazing questions. We have some questions that I question. We have some questions that we can very much tell that you put no thought into. We have questions that have nothing to do with really anything. And all of the things in between.
All right. Shall we?
Okay. Should we just jump into this? Guys, truly, though, thank you for your questions. We have quite a few that are really good that I think are very much worth us discussing.
Yeah. There's some that I'm just going to answer with, you should just Google it.
Yes,
that would be
there
great.
are quite a bit. This we're going to start with this one. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
We'll pop them off. You can pop them off, whatever.
Okay.
And you answer, and then I'll answer, and we'll just do it however the hell we want to do it.
Okay, I like it.
All right, this is the first one. For both S&S, which I assume means Sean and Saxony, what is your take on the phrase, facts don't care about your feelings? I really like this one because you and I talk about this quite a bit, but baby, take that one. Facts don't care about your feelings.
The first thing that came to mind is speak truth, regardless of how the truth may land. That's how I interpret that question. And that's the basis of how we live our marriage because, you know, just like literally 5 minutes ago, I had lipstick all over my teeth. And Sean's like, Saxony. You know, it's like you will tell me if I have lipstick all over my teeth, even if that makes me uncomfortable. Or, I mean, that's a very minor thing, but even if
that's a major thing. You walk around with lipstick on your teeth, you just look retarded. I mean,
old ladies do it all the time.
Well, they're old ladies and they freaking wear diapers, babe, and they're not allowed to drive cars. So you're a little bit different. But
I'm getting close. But also just things like, you know, if there's something that's causing resentment, and knowing that's causing resentment, if I hang on to it and not tell you the truth, it's only going to make it worse. So in our marriage, it's like, if there's something that I'm resenting you for or is bugging me, I'm just going to tell you because I would rather have the truth exist, just as you're also the same way, than me, you know, like, oh, and not engaging because I'm so worried about how you're going to interpret or respond. Yeah. And I thought of a question the other day, or I saw a thing on Instagram. It was like, you know, you're responsible for what you speak as truth. You're not responsible for how it's received from the other person. And that's how I feel about that.
I think this is a huge question because it's something that a lot of people have a hard time with. And when they hear us talk about this, because I've been open with it, you've been open with it, like, I care more about the truth than I do your feelings.
Yep.
And what I mean by that, it's very clear, but to kind of elaborate on it is I don't look at an answer to a question with the emotional reality of what will this do to my wife? How will she respond to this? Will this hurt her feelings? Will she be offended by this? Will she think I'm a dick? I don't think about any of those things. Mm-hmm. My initial reaction is, what's the truth? Mm-hmm. And I think what a lot of people then will follow this, will go, well, you know, then there's the couth, and then there's being, thoughtful. And the second, in my opinion, the second that you take this question and you say, well, yeah, but, you're off.
Yep.
You're fucked. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to manipulate the truth. And I believe, having been in relationships where there was very little truth, where every fucking thing was questioned, that there's nothing more powerful in a relationship than truth.
Right.
And it's up to you how you handle it, how you respond, whatever. But I am far more interested in living a life knowing that the truth is paramount versus opinions and feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that, candidly, working with lots and lots and lots of people, us coaching a lot of people, this is probably the number one thing.
Yeah.
This is probably the number one thing is like we're more concerned about not hurting someone's feelings. We're more concerned about the right, quote unquote, the right way to say it than we are than just fucking saying it, just putting it out there. Now, again, this is where all the Karens will jump in and go, but don't be an asshole. Don't be mean. Don't be whatever.
You need to speak truth. Don't be a dick and just expect for them to not have a response to it.
Yes.
Tell the truth, and then that's...
However, understand something. Like, the truth oftentimes is not what you want to hear. And when you hear something that's not necessarily what you want to hear, your natural assumption is you're being rude, you're being mean, you're being a dick. You understand what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I think people that are like, yeah, but don't say it like this or say it like that, or it should be said, fuck off with all that stuff, man. Like, I've been told my entire life, like, you're too mean, you're this, and this, whatever. It's like, look, if you don't want the truth, if you don't want the answer, then don't ask me the question.
And if you want extreme trust in your relationship, this is what it takes.
100%.
It's a
1,000%.
People may feel threatened in the beginning, but ultimately, like, this is why I respect and have so much trust in our relationship and in you, is because we speak truth. And I know that you're going to tell me the truth.
If you say, do you like this outfit, and I don't, I'm not going to say yes just because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'll say no.
You say no all the time.
I say no.
Yeah.
I'm not all the time, because most of the time you're fucking hot as shit. You're a smoke show. But I do say no. And I don't care how that lands, or I'm like, do you like this? No. Yeah, it's
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Truth is paramount.
That you are that way.
If you want to win in your relationship, in the gospel according to Sean Whalen, focus more on truth than the emotions behind how your partner will receive it.
For sure.
Amen.
No,
next question. This is an interesting one. Someone is telling us you're in the honeymoon phase, which, by the way, we still haven't taken a honeymoon, but we will. You're in the honeymoon phase. How do you know this fire will last, say, to year 20?
I just want to live to year 20.
Yeah, man.
That sounds rad.
Why would you even thinking about that? That's the real question. Is like,
yes.
If you're marrying somebody going, man, I hope her tits don't sag in 20 years, or man, I hope we still fuck this way in 20 years. Man, I don't know. Dude, I might be dead in 15 minutes. Right. The fuck am I worried about 20 years from now, right? I really think this is a big thing. Like, a lot of people are concerned about where is this going to go, and what about tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And I've said this 10,000 times. If you struggle with anxiety, you're focused on the future. And if this question is an anxious question, this question is, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? Look, I'm dating this girl and we're super hot, but how do I know it's going to work? Well, you know it's going to work by what you fucking do.
Right. Take some accountability for your life. It's not by chance.
No one has a fucking crystal ball to tell the future. But what I can tell you is what I can do now. What I do have control over is today. What I do have control over is my sex life now. I have control over my body now. We have control over everything right now. Like, you want your fucking life to win. You want your marriage to win. You want your relationship to win. Stop fucking worrying about 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road. Are we going to like each other in 10 years? Who the fuck knows? Right. Like the shit out of each other today. Fuck the shit out of each other today. Build big shit today. And my personal opinion on this, if you're doing that every day, then you should be able to build a really dope habit for 20 fucking years.
Amen.
So long as we're alive in 20 fucking years, if we're focused on every day, building the baddest ass life, fucking like we're 12-year-olds or however old you are when you're 12, or fucking, not 12. We should redo that. When you're a teenager, when you're dating, whatever. If you focus on fucking how you first started dating when you're young, then that's what I meant by that. Anyways. Were you having sex when you were 12? No. I wasn't.
Oh, my gosh.
When you were jerking off like when you were 12 years old? I know I was jerking off when I was 12. Oh, Christ. Oh, my God. We're going to let this one ride. We're not even going to edit it out. Okay. Next question.
Oh, I didn't get to answer that though.
You're not going to. Next question.
Oh my gosh, I can't even get control of myself.
Get control.
Okay,
of it.
well.
You have anything you want to say on that?
Yeah.
Kids, don't have sex when you're 12. Uncle Sean had a boo-boo there. He fucked that one up. Oh boy.
Okay.
Do you have anything you want to say to that, babe?
Yeah. I have many friends that have been married for decades.
They were fucking when they were 12.
Stop. Like 14. 15.
Close enough.
14, 15 is when they started dating. I don't recall or know anything about that. But what I will say is they've been together for decades. And these are some of the most happy, connected, as according to what they tell me, very, very sexually attracted and active couples. And so I don't have much evidence to even think that that's a reality. Now, if this person's perception is maybe they're hanging out with people that are in that space. And so maybe there's this like a bigger picture of like, what's your mindset on life? Who are you hanging around that like hates their old lady or whatnot? And to me, it's like, I love, and I get excited to fall in love with new versions of you. Like I talk about it, I'm like, you're going to be the cutest grandpa ever. Like, I can't wait for you to be a grandpa. So I believe when you love someone, like you just really love them. And so you find new ways of connection and, new sex positions, things like that,
I don't know how the hell we're going to figure that out because I think we've done everything. There's probably a lot we haven't done, actually. I take that back.
We can just do everything else. We try upside down now.
That sounds dangerous.
And, well, let's do it before I get too old.
Oh, God.
I still have a strong core. We can figure it out.
All right, next question.
Oh, my God.
Where does one look for an amazing partner, especially if you've got a lot to offer? I wanted you to answer this one.
On Instagram. Just kidding. Honestly, there's no real looking. It's just, you just keep showing up. Like, I have friends right now that are dating and they're like, they're trying and then they're this. And it's just like, just keep being around people that are doing like things as you. Like, don't go find people at the bar. I don't think you're going to find your perfect mate. I mean, you could by chance, but like, do you want to be with someone who hangs out at the bar or maybe hangs out at, whatever church, if you're into church. Like, I remember I went to this like psychedelic synopsis at the Salt Lake County Library. And I remember thinking like, this would be a really cool place to like singles meet because they're intellectuals into psychedelics. Like that would be an interesting little niche of people to connect. You find small niches of things you're into, and that's where I would find. But be very aware of what you're attracting and where you're finding it.
I think energetically, what you put out there is going to naturally come back. I think if you're like I've talked about staying in your lane, you just stay in your lane and keep doing you. If you're focused on like bettering you, you're going to find other people. Connect with other people, bump into other people that are on the same journey.
I agree.
All right. This is a big one. What to do when spouses' standards change after marriage, like religion or drinking? What to do when spouses' standards change after marriage? Marriage.
You take this one first.
Marriage, like religion or drinking. I think that the evolution of human beings is amazing. I think that my belief system is not what my belief system was 5 years ago. It wasn't what it was a year ago. I think that my likes, my passions, my excitement, my vigor is constantly changing. And I think this type of question, this type of idea is stagnant. If you're truly communicating every day, you're part of the process. And I think this is a situation that a lot of couples find themselves in, where one person goes to a Tony Robbins event and they get all fucking jacked out of their mind. They come home running on fire, beating their chest, wanting to save the world, while the other person was still at home dealing with the everyday mundane stuff, right? Doesn't make one right or one wrong, but I truly, truly, truly believe that if you're not communicating every day, if you're not part of each other's journey, if you're not visioning and talking and sharing and growing and setting targets together, that's how you get to this question. That's how one person becomes an alcoholic and the other one doesn't. That's how one person is growing, whatever you want to call it, light years past the other person, it's because you're literally not even on the same fucking page.
Yeah.
You and I, out of the gates, we'd sit in the bath and we talk. This podcast came from us just sitting in the bath talking for hours about thoughts, about dreams, about passion, about love, about connection, about the fears and the what ifs and the whole thing. I don't see how you could ever get to a place where you become two separate people unless you stop communicating and you stop connecting. That's what I did in my marriage. That's how I ended up divorced, is we energetically, emotionally went two different directions. We're still married, you're still living under the same roof, you're still together as this couple, but we were radically different, going different ways. And I think that so long as you are both growing, you're both going to continue to grow together.
Yeah.
If you're growing and I'm growing, we're both good. We might not like the same things. We might not have the same interests or the same passions. We might not be into the same thing, but we choose the commonality of the relationship because we're both growing. We're both exploring. There's a lot of shit that you're into that I'm not into. You celebrate, you're waiting like a little kid for your fucking drums to show up and the whole thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not over the moon about the drums, but I'm excited that you're excited about the drums. But I was part of the whole process with the drums. You showed me the drums. You showed me the pictures of the drums. You showed me the lady and the thing and right? And I was part of that experience. I was part of that passion, that joy, right? There's stuff that I share with you that you really could give two fucks about. Racing and the cars and the this and the that and testing and and you're part of that.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that you're not talking about standards changing. You're talking about two people that stop communicating, stop connecting, and loving each other for who they are and what they each individually love, and that's how that disconnect happens.
Absolutely, yeah. And to me, it's like I love to get to support you, and I want to continue. I look forward to watching you continually evolve and find new interests and have things spark new life. And you like racing; it's brand new and it's going. We have a huge commitment for this year with it, and that's very much affecting me. But I chose a partnership, which means it's a give and a take, and we get to complement. I get to complement your racing, for instance. That's the way I look at it. If I wanted everything to be my way, I would be single. I wouldn't have been in a relationship. Now, what would you say to that if everything goes negative, or if things are going negative? Like if he's starting to drink irresponsibly, what would you?
Well, communicate. You know what I mean? Like I call you on stuff all the time. You call me on stuff all the time. We both have that trust and that respect level for one another.
Sure.
And the reality is if I see you doing something or that I'm not digging or vibing on or part of or want to be part of or whatever, I'm the first person to fucking tell you.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think
and we do so not judgmentally. It's just very honestly.
100%. Like, look, if no one just develops a drinking habit or a drinking problem overnight, it doesn't happen. This isn't something where all of a sudden you go from totally clean and sober and I have a martini, or a beer once a week to I'm fucking sauced out of my mind every day. It doesn't happen like that. It's without question a progressive thing. It's the same thing with cheating. You don't just have a really connected, happy, healthy, ridiculously cool marriage and then all of a sudden you start banging your neighbor one day. It doesn't happen like that. It's a slow growth process. It's a disconnection. It's small little subtle nuances and small little subtle secrets or lies or things or whatever. Same thing with something like this. So if we're partners and we're together and we are connecting every day, we're communicating every day, fully, honestly, all in, then I'm well aware of where you are, what you're doing, what you're dreaming, what you're loving, what you're drinking, who you're fucking, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You can't not be connected there. So when something starts going awry, quote unquote, the bigger problem is that you're radically disconnected and you've been radically disconnected. So my personal opinion is if you want to not get to that space, become radically connected, voice your opinion, talk about certain things, be connected, and you can't not have that knowledge of where this person's going or what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Great
All of a sudden you say, well, my husband's got a drinking problem. Did he have a drinking problem when you got together? No. Okay, then what happened in between? Where did you guys get disconnected? What went wrong? What stopped happening? Where were things not being invested in? It's just really that's fucking simple. And if you're honest with yourself, you're as much of a part of that quote-unquote drinking problem as the other person who's drinking.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, does that make sense?
Yes, that was a great answer, babe.
You guys aren't going to let me live down that
Oh, my gosh.
thing. We might have to edit that out. We change the age to 19 or we leave it in. Fucking send it. Okay, we got some good ones here. Okay, this is, take this one.
Okay.
How do I, and there's a bigger picture that I want to talk about with you and I on this answer. How do I remain strong enough to stay out of the toxic relationship I was in? How do I remain strong enough to stay out of the toxic relationship I was in?
There's so many things that came in mind.
It's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Want better for yourself.
Yeah.
Like what if you even can identify that it's toxic, what the fuck are you doing?
That's literally exactly what I was going to say.
And here it is. It's back to what we were just talking about, addiction. Like that's an addiction.
100%
you are
addiction.
addicted, and sometimes you can be chemically addicted in your brain to that drama. You want it, you crave it, and you go back to it. If you know it's toxic, plant your flag and want better for yourself. Like that's no.
Yep.
There's a lot of people in the world, and if you really don't want toxic, then make a change.
Listen, I want to make this really fucking clear because both of us have been in toxic relationships,
Yes,
okay?
that's why I said it like that.
If you are, listen though, this is not what people want to fucking hear, and everybody's going to go, yeah, but. If the words come out of your mouth, I'm in a toxic relationship, or using this exact question, how do I remain strong enough to stay out of the toxic relationship? You are 100% accountable for that toxicity. I know nobody wants to hear that shit. I know it's way easier to go, well, my boyfriend or my husband, he was a dick, she was a bitch. It's way easier to put the blame on somebody else. If you're in a toxic relationship, you are 100% as accountable as that other fucking person. Period. End of story. You can't pass the buck. You can't be like, well, it's all on them. It's not on me. If you're in a toxic relationship, you are 100% accountable for the toxicity. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to turn into psychologists and fucking social workers here, but I can attest to the fact that I was in a toxic relationship, and there were a lot of things that quote unquote happened to me. It was being done, da-da-da-da-da. Guess what, motherfucker? I was in the relationship. Mm-hmm. I chose to stay there. I chose to stay in the toxic bullshit. I chose to put up boundaries that I did not honor. I was as fucking toxic as the person that I was with. Yeah. Period. That's hard to say. No one wants to say that. I don't want to say that because it's way easier to be a fucking victim and place the blame on somebody else and go, well, he or she did this or he or she did that. They sure as shit might have. They sure as shit could have. Mm-hmm. But where were you? Mm-hmm. You were balls deep, 50-50, 100-100, right next to him.
We have an entire podcast. Go listen to it on being a victim.
Yep.
And we'll go in depth on this, but you are a willing participant. You have 100%. Like you are not unless you're chained in a basement with this toxic person.
Literally, you would have to be like physically restrained in a relationship to claim that. That is the only, and I mean that's the only exception that.
And there's deeply rooted reasons why people stay and even are attracted to toxic partners, and you are also a toxic partner. Yep. But there are deep reasons why you even show up in that space, and that's what you need to focus on. Is why am I attracted to these people? Why am I attracting this into my life? What am I contributing, and why do I find, because most people will continue to find more toxic partners 100%. Until you find the source of what it is. And it's usually that you don't believe you're good enough. So you'll settle for less or you're used to that type of, I don't want to use the word abuse, but it's the first thing that comes to mind, like that lifestyle, that abuse that you're familiar with it. So your brain has that addiction to it, but you and only you can break the cycles. It doesn't matter if everything went wrong in your childhood. If you're an adult, it's your responsibility to 100%. Stay. I don't care where you came from. I have empathy for you, but you need to go and take care of your shit to where this is you're even 100%. Creating this reality for you. It's you and only you. It's not your daddy. It's not past. It's like literally it's all on you. I
could not agree more with you.
Yeah.
Like this is I wanted to ask this question because, I mean, it's weird that how do I stay strong enough to not go back there? Like, literally
love yourself.
Handle your shit, man. Own your shit. Own who the fuck you are. Like if your thought process is, oh man, I really don't want to go back to that toxic, but how do you blame
the
anybody
sexist could
in
not
life?
Be that good.
How do you blame anybody in life for anything when that's your choice? That's your decision, and that personal accountability, this transcends the question too. It's not what a lot of people want to hear right now, but it is absolutely what they need to hear. And if you're in a toxic relationship, you are as much a part of it as the other person.
Right. I used to be in a relationship where I let a man physically hurt me. And I look back and the difference between who I was then and who I am now, is
not even the same.
Well, no, but it's that I didn't love myself at all. And so I allowed people to mistreat me because I had no value. I had no love or appreciation for the miraculous human that I am. And that's just, I and only I made a decision to change that.
Yep. I was in the exact same scenario. I was in the exact same scenario. Yeah. And it wasn't until I realized, like, dude, I have way more than this. I am way better than this. Like, I don't want to be part of this. Like, and it wasn't this person is abusing, this person is doing this. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, Sean? It wasn't, all right, I'm sick of you, I'm leaving. It was, dude, what are you fucking doing? Why are you doing this? You know better than this. And that was, my tipping point of taking 100% accountability and then building me to where now we have very clear boundaries, very clear guidelines, very clear expectations.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, carrying on. This one was an interesting one that I think is fun to ask. If you both, I gotta try and read people that don't know how to write. If you both had an alter ego, what would your name be, and why would you do it, and why? Okay,
I'm
gonna shorten this one up. If you had an alter ego, what would your name be, and why? You kind of have one. Well, you have a couple of them.
Those are just for date night, though. Those aren't like cooler than me.
Sax has alter people that, depending on which wig she's wearing, is the person that shows up.
But like, one's name's Stephanie, and that's like not cool. There's no real
yeah, but when I say Stephanie or when you say Stephanie, we both know what the fuck that is, and that's fun.
And then there's Candy, but those would not be my alter egos. My alter ego, I think of like archetypes. Like I thought of Kali, right? If you know who Kali is, she's like fierce feminine energy. Yeah. But I would be. I don't know. What about you?
I don't know.
I feel like I live.
I felt like we should ask this woman. I have no fucking.
I feel like I live in a lot of like. Yeah. I mean.
I'm a different person every day, so
I
have
feel
tons of alter egos. What day is it? Thursday? Yeah, I'm cool today. Monday? Don't fuck with me. I'm Satan on Monday. Oh boy. All right. All right. Somebody said, will you guys do a couples retreat? It would be so epic. And we have talked about this. We actually have on the calendar. We haven't announced it publicly yet, so you guys are hearing this first. We do have five. We have 5 couples retreats planned for 2022. And we will be announcing those here within the next couple of weeks. So to timestamp this, whatever this is, it's the 6th of January now. So whenever you're listening to this, you're listening to it. But we have 5 retreats planned for 2022, couples retreats. I'm really excited about it.
I am too.
Okay. This is a great one because I love this answer. The question is, what are your pet peeves? I'm going to take this one first.
I have so many when I read that.
I don't.
Like, maybe I
don't have very many
to do on this.
Chewing with your mouth open. It causes me to become violent. I have literally moved myself from tables in restaurants. I have had to turn around. If I hear you chewing or see you chewing with your mouth open or anything like that, I mean, how many times do we sit down and you start eating a salad or something like that in the house and it's quiet? I fucking freak. And you're my wife.
Yeah.
Imagine a stranger. Like I literally, there's something inside of me that's becomes violent.
Okay, speaking the facts over feelings, when we were dating, I remember we were laying in the theater and watching a show and we were eating popcorn and you literally grabbed my jaw and looked at me and you're like, no.
When was this?
This was 1.0.
Really?
And I remember thinking that's kind of cool. You really, no, you can't do that anymore.
That's funny. What's your pet peeve?
My biggest pet peeve is what?
Number one. You're number one.
Oh, okay. I have a lot, but when people don't put their shopping carts back in the stalls, I want to and I have, which this is the old Saxony. I don't confront people in parking lots anymore, but I will. It's like you didn't have to hunt or gather or grow any of the food you just got. All you have to do is put the shopping cart back
what have you
appropriately
done?
In a stall.
I want to hear this.
Because it's inconsiderate if it hits my car because you're freaking lazy. I'm just they didn't have to do anything to get their food.
Give us some
and yet
examples of what you've done. Have you ever pushed a cart at somebody that left it?
No, but somebody parked. I was sitting in my car. This was a long time. It was 10 years ago. They parked their cart against my car, right in the front, and I watched it, and it was this guy. And I got out of my car and I was like, you really are going to leave your cart pushed up against my car? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, and I just lost it.
You did?
And I was like, thankfully I was in Bountiful and it's very safe there.
I would have
But I
taken the
shouldn't
cart
do
and
that.
winged it right at his car. But I probably would have been just as bad as the guy who left it out.
Infuriated.
That's interesting.
I also really, really, really don't like when people are not impeccable with their word, even on little things.
Yeah.
It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, chew with your mouth closed, please. Next question. How do you set boundaries around who you spend time as a couple with? How do you set boundaries around who you spend time?
Well, you and I communicate a lot about the
Yeah.
people in our space. We talk about it almost daily. Like, if we have certain couples that like we super vibe with, and it's because they're building epic things and they're have really solid marriages, and they're in alignment with what we're in alignment with. And, we don't associate with people who gossip or cheat or lie or, we just don't want to, we just don't spend our time because
we don't hang out with a lot of people, period.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock against anybody or any couple or whatever, but like, we just don't need, you don't have to, no one, well,
you don't
like
have
hanging
to.
out with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that might sound really cheesy and cliche to some people, but like, I'm married to my best friend, and so I want to hang out with my best friend. You know what I mean? Like, there's other cool people that we hang out with, or we go here, we go there, but we say no more than we say yes to invitations and things, and weekends, and going out and stuff like that. And it's not that we're rude or pompous or presumptuous or whatever. It's just like we'd rather hang out together.
Yeah. And I mean, with the whole boundary thing, it's just like, who do you, with it being set up as a boundary with that, it's like, it's probably that one of them is not really like caring who's around in their space. And that's just, a good opportunity for you guys to have that communication of like, why does it matter if this type of person is around your kids or around, it's because it's energetically like you become like the people you're around. So we're really, really particular about that.
Yep. Next question. What do you two do to move on from a stupid fight?
We just fucking move on. We get in stupid fights. I don't want to say fights, but we get in stupid tiffs often. But it's just because we're both sarcastic and sassy and stubborn and
sensitive.
Yeah, we're very sensitive, really.
I was talking about you.
You are very sensitive too. But we just make a choice. You just make a choice to. We just don't care enough to. We don't. How is it going to serve us?
Yeah.
It's very simple.
I've found in my life that and this is speaking of past relationships, when we're in a stupid fight, we're not focusing on anything bigger. I've shared on the podcast before, I've asked a bunch of people this question, but there's two that stood out to me the most, which I asked Emily Frisilla and Jason Harward, like, what do you guys fight about? Like, what do you and Andy fight about, and what do you and Jocelyn fight about? And their answer was great. Like, we rarely ever fight because we're so focused on the big picture that anything that comes in between that, we literally both look at it and say it's not worth arguing. It's not worth fighting over. You and I don't get into big, long, fucking explosive, drawn out, knock down, drag out fights. We don't do it because we're both focused on the big picture. We disagree on this or disagree on that, or one day you're feeling all emotional and I'm being a sarcastic prick and you're like, that's not nice. And then you're kind of mean to me for a minute. And then you're like, well, I like having sex with you, so we should just go have sex. And then I'm like, that's fine.
This is totally how it goes.
This is literally exactly how it fucking goes. I'm like, well, I like sex with you too, so I won't be mad that you're being kind of bitchy to me. So let's go fuck. And then we're good. We really don't like, we have little things, but guys, I truly believe if you're both united and focused on a big picture, and that might be he's over here with work, you're over here at home, but if you're focused on big fucking picture, a lot of the mundane, little teeny, low vibrational crap, number one, you identify it really quickly. So you're like, this really doesn't matter today.
Yeah.
Do I really need to be mad about this? Like, is there shit that I really need to be upset about, or whatever? I mean, there's so many little things that could be blown like way out of proportion that don't need to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of stuff that like that you do really well. Like last night we went on a date night. You found the letter.
Oh yeah.
Like last night we went on date night. This is just a story that popped in my head because it literally just happened. We went out on date night. And we're sitting there at dinner, and I don't know how you brought it up or how it came up, but you're like, hey, I found I found a letter in a drawer at the house. I'm like, what are you talking about? And Saxony was like, well, it was a letter from your ex that she had written to you, and it was like wedged in some corner in the very far back of a drawer, and you were in that drawer looking for this business card that I had lost and I was trying to find.
Yeah.
And it was like, how long ago was that? A couple of days, and we didn't talk about it. We hadn't had this thing about it, but that's something that, like, you know, us being together, being married in this house, like this thing that's there could have been this thing, this disagreement, this what is this? And it's like, what does this?
It has nothing to do with me. It was like I read it and I was like, that's cute, and
that's it.
That's it, because it's like it has nothing. Honestly, like it's the 4 agreements. Like that had nothing to do with me. That happened before I even knew you, so it doesn't.
My point
I have no
in bringing
emotional
that
connection
up is
to that.
You hear a lot from a lot of couples, and there's a lot of couples out there that struggle with a lot of really finite, stupid little shit, right? And I bring that up simply because you and I are operating as a married couple on a completely different level.
Sure.
And so something like that from the past, or that's little, or that's finite, very well could have brought emotional feelings, could have brought up things, could have brought up this, could have brought up that had you been in a different state or a different place or not been operating at a higher level, it would have presented itself to be a problem. And I think a lot of people, we talk to a lot of couples where it's like, yo, we're arguing about this or that or whatever, and it's like, that has nothing to do with today. Like literally most of the shit you disagree with, have problems with, argue with, has nothing to do with this exact moment. It's something from the past. It's something I'm thinking about. It's something I'm triggered on, something that I just deal with, right? Most of the time that I get upset or this, that, or the other, I just go handle my own shit. Has nothing to do with you. I take my space, you take your space, we come back together and we're good.
Yeah, and me personally, I laugh a lot of things off. Like, I don't... It's like I just let it slide off my shoulders, like whatever.
Yeah. Here's a good one for you, because, well, this is good. After divorce and 10 years of fuckboys, how does one allow or let love in? Pushing away is my MO.
Why is it your MO?
After divorce and 10 years of fuckboys, how does one allow love in? Pushing away is my MO.
Why? Goes back to like the other question. Like, why do you want that for yourself?
Yeah.
You're choosing that. You're not willing to step into something better. You're not willing to to go all in. You're not willing to surrender and actually maybe have a great connection with someone. Like that's a choice. You need to make a choice that's what you want. Like Sean and I, the only way we got here was we made conscious choice after conscious choice after conscious choice where we planted our flag and we didn't negotiate with ourselves. It was like, this is what I want. And even like when we were dating, Brenda and I were talking about this today. I knew where I'd come from and things I'd done in the past. And I told you, I was like, I won't play house with you. It's a non-negotiable. Now, I don't need to move into your house with my kids and uproot everything. Like, we're either going to do life together or we're not. Like, and that was just one of my things but I had learned and planted my flag of like, this is just what I want for myself. And I didn't negotiate with it. And I didn't bend my own things to try and fit into this, to try and get people to fit into that with me. It was like, it either works or it doesn't, because that's what I chose. I chose better for myself. And I have a laundry list of things that I made. I basically put in stone of like, this is what I want for myself. And I just didn't go back to fuckboys and I didn't want to ever go back there. And so you just have to plant your flag.
Yeah. Good answer. Pushing away is my MO.
Then stop pushing people away.
You just literally acknowledged you're pushing people away.
And
well, if you don't like it, then don't do it.
And if you are pushing someone away, be honest about that. You can even tell that person, like, listen, I usually push people away. I'm just going to share that I'm feeling this way right now, because if you start having radical truth and that person's like, oh, thank you for sharing that. So, and maybe they can help, because there's a lot of healing and growing in relationships that you can't do unless you're in a relationship. So these honest conversations of when it starts to come up, just be honest. Yep.
Good answer, babe.
Thanks.
I wanted you to answer that one because you were divorced and you were single for a while, and you did push everybody away because you were a hard ass. Next question.
I did.
How do you deal with the other co-parent when the other co-parent is toxic for everyone? I want to say something on this. Again, the toxic word. Take the toxic word out of it. How do you deal with the other co-parent? I dealt with a co-parent at the beginning of right after my divorce with somebody in a not great way because I was angry and I was bitter and I was frustrated. And I learned that, and I learned this luckily fairly early after my divorce, that when the kids come to my house, when they're with me, they don't need an investigator. They don't need a in between. They don't need any of that shit. What they need is dad.
Yeah.
And I chose early to, when the kids are with me, I'm dad. And I'm going to be the best fucking dad that I can be. And when you're with me, like, nothing else matters. I don't care how big of a dick he is or how big of a bitch, my ex-wife or mom is or whatever. When you're with me, you're with me. And I think the thing that to realize is that as a co-parent, like when your children or your stepkids are with you, like you only have that period of time to shine a light for them.
Yep.
Like you only have, if it's a weekend, you have a weekend to be with them, to show them a different light, to be a different light, to show them love, to be love, right? And if you spend that weekend mad at the ex or mad at the co-parent or this, that, and the other, then literally what you're doing is showing those children a mad parent or a mad co-parent. Now, take the kids out of the equation. I don't have to deal with a co-parent. Like I don't have to deal with your exes at all. I have nothing. I don't have to deal with them. I don't have to talk to them. I don't have to have any engagement with them whatsoever. Let's just hypothetically say that one of them was a dick, which they're not.
No, they're not.
Then I would choose whether I engage with them or not.
Sure.
Right? And this is now past the kids and just talking about consenting adults. I don't allow people in my space that I don't like. And if you happen to be somebody that's a total dick or this or that or the other, and the only commonality we have is the kids, then I still don't have to deal with you.
Yep.
I don't have to fucking talk to you. I don't have to text you. I don't have to do anything other than pick up and drop off children. Mm-hmm. And so if you're finding yourself engaged in some battle with an ex or battle with the step parent or whatever it is, the co-parent, that's on you as an adult. If you're warring, feuding, dealing with anything like that, that's on you. If they just happen to be a totally fucking different person or they're just an asshole, that's on them. But remember that. Remember that when your kids, they're your kids and they're going to your ex's house and that step parent is a dick, just remember something. Those kids will always know that person is a dick.
Yeah.
It's not your job to tell them. It's not your job to prove it. I promise you, adults will sell themselves to children and kids will remember. Mm-hmm. My kids remember a lot. And so if you're wanting peace, be the peace. Yeah. The kids are with you, be the peace. You don't want to freaking deal with them, you don't have to deal with them. Mm-hmm. But you're never going to be able to change someone from being an asshole to not being an asshole. Can't happen. Won't happen. Yeah. So you might as well be the brightest light for these kids when you have them. Be the good parent. Show them. Give them an example. And if you find yourself feuding outside of that with another grown-up, check yourself because that's you feuding with another grown-up.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
Anything you want to add to that,
nope,
baby?
I don't even think I'd add anything. Got it.
Okay. Along the same lines, do you have any interaction with your stepkids' dads? Yes. And they're freaking rad dudes.
Yeah.
So Tiny and Relic's dads are freaking studs, and I see them all the time and talk to them all the time, and they're good dudes.
It comes down to respect, guys. Like we just respect each other. There's no my kids and our, it's like these are our kids, and we just treat them as our kids, and we communicate, and we're civil, and we're freaking just kind. Like we really are, and I know that there can always be a bad apple in the bunch, and I have empathy for that, but at the same time, like it's what
Look, be
the freaking best you can be.
Yeah,
best
divorce is hard.
Love
man.
your kids.
There's a lot of people listening to this that are in that situation.
Yeah,
that are co-parents or dealing with co-parents. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of ego. There's a ton of pain. There's a ton of, you're literally looking at a human being that is now sleeping with your ex, creating a life with your ex, that you have memories and thoughts and feelings of your ex. And at one point in time, you were in love with this human being. At one point in time, you were the one sleeping with him. At one point in time, you two were building a life together. Yeah. There's a lot of fucking energy and emotional shit that goes on there, whether people want to admit it or not, right? I'll never forget as long as I live having my ex-wife's, now husband, mm-hmm. telling my kids to call him dad. And I'm like, you want to talk about the ego of a man. Like, mm-hmm. I wanted to shit fucking fire. I was like all over the moon pissed, right? And it was a huge ego thing. Was it right? Was it wrong? Doesn't matter. But the reality is there's a ton of emotions. There's a ton of very, very, very intense emotions around divorce, separation, especially when you're having to interact with this one person that you used to be in love with, you used to be connected to, you used to have dreams and ambitions with, and now there's this other person in the space that's in that reality and in that world. It takes a really, really, really strong person to overcome their ego, to overcome their own pride, to be able to be the bigger person, you know, and like talking to Chad as often as we do, like we both do that. Like this is where we are. And, you know, we've heard him talk a lot about how happy you are and how good that is for Relic and how good that is for our family and the whole thing. And it takes a big man to be able to, you know, have his son come to our house. And, you know, I know that because my kids go to another house, and I have a lot of empathy for that. But I also realize that, like, there's nothing more important than you'll do than to be the powerful light for the fucking kids, man.
And own the fact that you made babies with this person. Like, you may not like them, but you chose one way or another to make children with that person, and own that for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Next question. How to deal with trauma and loss. We all have it, but fresh trauma, and how to navigate through it.
Feel it. You know, if you need to grieve. I've shared this before, but a couple years ago, I decided. So I had a shift happen in my life, and it really broke me open. And I decided to give myself an entire month to uproot everything and anything I could find that was trauma related, or, you know, these patterns of why I was attracting certain partners, or why I had certain, you know, just any patterns that weren't serving me. And I sat there with it. I truly gave myself a month to cry it out, to feel it, to process it, to journal it. I hired a therapist, and we worked through things. And you know, a lot of people, they just try to buck up and move on. But if it's negatively affecting your life, like, do some work on it. And it doesn't mean work like, it doesn't have to be like big, crazy trauma stuff. It's just like, look at it, talk about it, like, ask yourself why. Where did this come from? Why do I believe this? Why am I choosing this? Like, figure out the source. And then when you have the source, then you can consciously make a shift and move on. And I just think a lot of people, they don't want to look at it. They don't want to deal with it. So they just continue on. And it's like, feel it. It's real. And then process it and move on with your life. Be happy.
Amen. Next question. I like this one. What is on or in yours and Sax's nightstands?
That's a cool question.
You go first.
A lot of supplements.
Not on mine.
I have a lot of vitamins in my nightstand, and I have a lot of crystals, and I have books. I probably have a vibrator in there. I think that's it.
Yeah?
In it? Yeah.
On it or in it is what they said.
Oh, on it. Well, for sure, I have lots of crystals on top and books. Yeah.
I think
that's my nightstand.
I've got a couple of books, a lamp.
Oh, yeah, I have a selenite lamp.
I have an FNX 45 that sits right on top of my nightstand. It's always weird. And I don't, it's not subliminal. I know that she really doesn't give a shit, but every time our house cleaner comes, and that night when we go to bed, the gun's always, like, because the gun always points away from me. I leave it right on my nightstand. It's like sitting on top. Like, it's not in a box. It's not hidden. It's like right on top. It's
like everywhere else in our house.
Yeah, that's like all the guns in my house. It's always like pointed towards my bed. I wonder if she just picks it up and doesn't think. She probably doesn't know anything about guns. Whenever our cleaner comes, she wipes off the nightstand, whatever, and the guns are always like pointed like towards the bed. Or whatever. I should probably text her and be like,
Does she know they're all loaded?
Yeah, I told her that. When she first started cleaning, that was literally one of the very first things I told her. I was like, look, there's a lot of guns in this house, and every single one of them has bullets in the chamber, and they're all fucking loaded and locked and ready to go. Yeah. So try not to touch them, you know, whatever.
She's rad, though.
Yeah, that's all I have on mine.
You have some crystals.
Oh, I do.
You have a black tourmaline and an amethyst.
Okay.
And you have a cute picture of
me
and you, and a cute picture of the kids.
Yeah.
Which I don't put pictures of my kids by my bed for adult reasons.
Yeah.
I don't like putting.
So why'd you put one on my nightstand?
It's always been there.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. What else do we have in there? Yep. That's
it. That's it, babe. We have tons of other ones.
Oh
but
no, do Kyle's question.
What was Kyle's?
I texted it to you.
Oh shit, I gotta find it.
He
Kyle said,
Mr. Beck.
Was it hard disbanding your real estate team? That's not it. Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
That one?
Yeah, I think this will speak to a lot of women.
Oh, was it hard disbanding your real estate team to start other endeavors since changing your last name?
So since getting married.
He asked a different one too.
Oh, so I just wanted to touch on this because I actually know another woman right now that's doing the very same thing. When Sean and I got married, I had a really successful real estate team and successful for years and years and years. And honestly, you know, the main guy on my team, I wanted to see him go and to another team because it's just like with anything, like I wanted him to get a different vantage point of selling real estate with another team. And we just had a conversation, and the bigger picture was that my ego, for instance, like I could have gotten all weird and ego, like of letting go of this identity of mine. But I wanted more, which more meant building with my husband. And so I just made a choice. And I know we have another friend, Jessica. She literally just did the same thing. She quit her job after 20 years. And she's engaged, and they want to build a life together. And it took some, it takes trust and faith in your relationship. But at the same time, like I don't attach to careers, and I don't attach to a lot. So I would rather have opportunities and experiences in life, especially ones with my partner, than worrying about keeping, you know, this job. So many people have to keep in the same thing for safety. And I think it's really awesome when one partner will step in to unite with the other in their careers. Because it does take some cojones to do, and I think it's rad. So if you did that, or you're thinking about doing that, I highly encourage you to do so.
Let's see.
We didn't get any sex questions.
I know. Last one.
Okay.
How has your relationship changed in 2021? Well, first of all, we got married. That was a change. We went from dating to having the government tell us that we're now the real deal. That changed.
Yeah.
Changed.
Which I change every day. I change every day. So if I can look at this time last year, things were dramatically different. And we were talking about it the other day. It's just like expansion. Like there's so much expansion. You know, like even just the little shifts of like going all in and like getting married and buying a ranch. Like there's so many things have happened, but it's because we just keep showing up and doing more. So we're just constantly expanding.
Yeah, 2021 was thinking about all of the things that we got done. I mean, it was just like rapid expansion.
I know.
It's crazy. But even our connection, like you would think that there would be. I feel like we're old souls. Yeah. And I know that sounds weird to some people or whatever, but like I feel like we've been married for 20 years. Like we were talking to our friends last night. Our friends were down in Mexico, and they FaceTimed us at midnight, and you know I picked up naturally because it's what I do, and you were asleep, and we ended up talking to him for almost like an hour. But that was one of the things they said. They're like, "We feel like you guys have been married forever." Like I feel like we have. I feel like we just went straight into the full game. There was no like, well, let's just try and merge our lives together or whatever.
I think it's because we've already done a life together.
We just fucking exploded together. It's like, all right, everything's on the table. Let's just do this. You know what I mean? Which I think anybody who's been married before, it's like, I think truthfully that's what people want. I think that's what people are after is like, let's just get all in. Let's just be all in out of the gates versus like, let's try to, we'll take our time and blend our families and get our kids in. And it's like, fuck it, we're in. Let's go.
Yeah. Full send.
And I think truthfully, the reason that's big, I think, is that's what it forces you to level up. It forces you to. You know what I mean? Like when you're tiptoeing in the shallow end, great. You know that it's safe there. You know that it's easy there. You know that you can hop out of the pool in any period of time. When you jump in the deep end of the fucking pool, it forces you to swim. You have to fucking swim.
Yep.
You have to do it, right? There is no safety net. There is no, well, I'll just waddle my way out of the pool here. I think really like that's what makes a really powerful relationship is just full send, jumping in.
Totally.
Like we're all in. Like we're going to make this thing work, and it forces you to level up. I mean, we look at our fitness, we look at the businesses, we look at everything else. Us just jumping in the relationship and saying, let's do this, everything else has exploded as well.
Yep.
And I think without question, it's that mentality of like full send, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. What a year.
What a fucking year.
What a great year this is going to be. It's already great. 6 days in. Killing it.
I'm already tired. I need a nap. This year's
I
kicking
am
the shit out of me.
still sick, though. I've actually been sick this whole year.
No, yeah. Well,
Yes,
2022.
This is
This year.
joke.
True.
Been sick for
Anything else you want to add, babe?
No. I would say next time maybe we should do a specific sex Q&A.
You want to talk more sex?
I think we should.
Bryce, you got any top of the head?
Oh gosh.
Bryce is sitting
This
right
is
here
going
taking
from
notes on the
Bryce.
podcast. One sex question. What do you got? We're putting you on the spot.
Uncle Jack
Oh, Jesus.
helped you off an elephant. Would you help your Uncle Jack off an elephant?
You're going to have to repeat that. I don't know if
Wasn't
I'll
it?
hear that.
I don't even. If what?
Uncle Jack
If your Uncle Jack
helped you off an elephant.
helped you off an elephant, would you help your Uncle Jack off an elephant? Bryce moonlights as a Jesus. Bryce moonlights as a comedian
That's a Canadian.
and a Canadian, neither of which is very funny. You know, Canadians aren't very funny, and neither is Bryce. So
Bryce is funny.
that was a terrible joke. I thought Bryce had a creative and dirty mind, but no, we'll just do a sex episode.
Yep.
How about that?
You guys are just going to have to come back for
We'll
more.
do another sex episode. We did one,
No
but
pun
guys, thank you so much for your
intended.
questions. You're amazing. You're beautiful. Hopefully this added some value. Minus the 12-year-old comment, we can just forget that happened. Watch what happens when I run for president. All of this stuff's coming back out. It's gonna be great. So much fucking content for when I run for president. It's gonna be phenomenal.
Phenomenal. It's going to be phenomenal.
Jesus,
Stay
I'm
tuned.
done. What a year. What a fucking year. Guys, we love you. Thanks so much. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.